many comments here today. I think most of them were positive. And, I just want to touch one more thing on the erosion issues. You have unimproved dirt roads without any mitigation there right now. And the project will improve that situation considerably when built. So I would like at this time to request that you use the second alternate, I guess, and vote to approve this project, and we're acceptable of all the conditions that are on as conditions of approval. Thank you.
And for the board's information, the second alternative Mr. Gomes just spoke to states, alternatively, the board could make the findings for the project approval as stated on pages PC 18 and PC 19 of the staff report and approve the project subject to the conditions on pages PC 19 through pages PC 24, as well as the memo dated 10/28/08. Correct, Mr. Gomes?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any additional from staff or the applicant?
I guess I have to say, this project has been introduced and discussed as being a green project. The first time I ever heard it was green was at the Planning Commission hearing. There's nothing in the conditions that would keep it green.
Okay. I'll close the public hearing. Oh, before I do that, public hearing still open. Questions of the board to staff and or any of the public comments? One last time. Supervisor Koufax.
This may go to the project participants. With regard to the water availability, 18 units have been authorized as being available to be connected to for this particular project. Did I hear you correctly on that?
Well, yeah, Mr. Koufax, it's our understanding, first of all, when, it must be 1990 or so, the Hoppen Utility District under contract traded, if you will, water hookups for the right to use one of the sites on Mr. Manning's property for this 300,000 gallon tank, which is built. It seems like Hoppen Utility District has worked through this water issue by licensing their wells at the river, but we have 16 for sure. Everybody agrees, and we can drill one or two wells, and lot number 18 will probably be divided a little bit in the future. Could possibly do it. We don't know about that at this time, and I don't know how many, but we have water for all the building sites we intend to develop now, with the exception of possibly one, and we drill a well.
Okay, well that then takes me to the more basic concern I have, and that is that we know there's a water situation down there that's not the most promising. And when we're talking about the possibility of putting affordable housing on a site there in Hopland, that project could conceivably fall through because there would not be the hookups available. So the question I have is there anybody here who could speak to the situation in Hopland? And I guess this comes to the planning department. Has there been any effort made to identify the what's the outer number of the higher number of hookups that would be available or could be dealt with private wells in the area? Because I wouldn't want to see an affordable project very different from anything you're proposing or Brian is proposing. I would hate to see this project preempting the water that in its totality that's available in the near future.
It's my understanding that the state imposed a moratorium on new service connections to Hopland, but in doing so, they said that they would recognize service connections that were previously agreed to. There was a court case in 2002 that's referred to where the Mannings and the district agreed to a total of 16 service connections for the property. So the state we have a letter specific to that saying the state will honor those 16 service connections.
I'm going beyond that, though.
But beyond that, how much capacity is there? The capacity is 0 since they're not allowing any new hookups until the moratorium's lifted.
Mr. Colfax, may I comment on that, though? I believe, though, if you look at the original documents that the state gave to the Hopland, they said you don't have water rights to your water well that you've claimed to have been pumping for over 100 years, and that you have alternates to either license that well or buy more water from the flood control district. And, in the last, less than a year ago, there was a few 100 acre feet of water available at the flood control district. And I think that you have a problem between all of your districts and the flood control district to allocate this water out properly. And I think that's where you need to direct this to. And I don't think we're out of water. I think there's some paperwork that needs to be done, and I think that we need to develop new sources, and I think they're available. But again, this is beyond the scope of this project.
Well, possibly not, because this could be a cumulative impact of this project. So
Yeah,
that's not a good answer. At least
well,
for me, it might be a good answer to you, but it's
Well,
not a good answer for me.
I think that in the case of, you have self-help housing going on Lake Mendocino Drive, they went directly to the flood control district and purchased enough water from flood control to do their job. Now, I think that if this is a question in your mind, I think that you need to address the flood control district, and I know they have some capacity. And I think you should ask them to reserve that.
Well, that's why I said,
this.
is there anybody here?
Yeah,
So-
and I believe that's true. So
Right.
one of the board members might know.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have one other question for you again, Mr. Gomes, please. And that is, you heard Ms. Hilligus say that this was 35, 36 units possible when you go to the second unit. When you're trying to lay out this site, and I hear about the walls, I hear about the effort, the need for roads that do not meet county standards, perhaps because of the need to make turns and deal with some of the problems you have with the site. But for all this planning, what kind of authority does the county retain when it comes to second, and perhaps not for you, it's probably more to planning, but should be of interest to you, and that is, what kind of authority would the county have with regard to a second unit going up, not on the best site, but on the second best part of the site that would have some impact? Would this be thoroughly vetted the same way we vet a subdivision effort like this?
To have a second unit, they'd have to demonstrate that they have adequate water and sewer connection for that second unit, and that there would be a sign-off that would go through environmental health as the building permit was routed. Second units are a ministerial project. There's not much discretion as long as they can meet setbacks, building code, water and sewer.
And would the topography have any consideration in that situation?
There would be no restriction. Well, and as conditioned, there's no restriction on the individual lots that would be created by the subdivision to where a home could be located on the individual lot,
Right.
other than setback.
But then the second unit as well?